Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, enemies and friends, welcome to the show that never ends. You are tuned into On the Real on the R Squared Network, where we keep you up to date on all the latest in the world of TV and movies. I'm your host, Steve Johnson, and joining me today is my brother from the same mother, Mr. Johnson.
Hello out there in TV land and Facebook and YouTube and wherever you're watching this from.
All right, and the last best hope for the resistance, Mr. Woods.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up?
How you gentlemen doing today, sir?
Not bad.
Now, today is a very special day. It's a special episode. It's our 40th episode. Now, that's not to say we haven't been doing this show for over a year, but I wasn't really counting when we started, so we'll just celebrate the 1 year anniversary.
40 of this show, I mean, because
Yeah.
we was doing The Walking Dead before that.
Right.
Well, so we've had way more than 40 episodes.
Yes, but we will celebrate the
40 of
1
this
year anniversary of On the Real
Right.
in 12 more weeks, provided we don't miss any episodes.
Right.
Now, in light of it being a special episode, we have our very first call-in guest. And that guest is the comic book contract lawyer, Jamal Hennessy. Now, he wrote an article that I'm going to share with you guys in the chat. And it is basically about what does the effect of our current political climate have on our on art that gets produced. So are you as an artist allowed to speak out about what you believe in without fear of losing your patron? What do you guys think about this before I get Mr. Jamal on the Skypes?
It's a two-sided kind of thing, because if you are contracted, right, and you're being paid to do something, then your voice is silenced and it's expected for you to do the art of the person who is paying you.
Right.
So you are now under their rules and guidelines to produce whatever work that they're paying you for. So your voice is not your own. Now, you want to do anything on your own time, then so be it.
Right.
But while you are contracted,
but isn't that your own time though? Right? If it's your personal Twitter account, it's not like you're doing it from the account of your employer, right?
Right.
Or do you have any personal time? Right?
Nope.
That's it.
Do
They
you
own
have
you.
personal time? At your job, they own you. Even when you're not at work, they calling you when you're supposed to be off.
I mean, that's true.
They own you, Steve. Put your
They
political
own you.
thoughts.
That's scary though.
Put your political thoughts on the internet. Say some shit like "fuck Trump" and "fuck the Republicans" and whatever, and see what happens to you tomorrow. See if
I
they
don't want
hit
to put
up your-
myself on blast, but I feel like I've said things to that effect.
Yeah, but don't put it in print.
I temper it a little bit though.
Don't put it in print.
Okay. Anyway, let's get Mr. Hennessy on the phone. Producer, can you call this man on Skype?
there we go. So, as that rings in,
That is
Yeah, I told you. That's why I didn't want to wear headphones.
right.
Good evening, Jamal Hennessy.
loud. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Good evening.
We
I'm
have
doing
you.
pretty good, gentlemen. How are you?
We are well. You know, you are our first call-in guest for this show. We do call-ins on our political show all the time, but this is the first one for On the Real. So we thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, why am I the first call-in guest on this show? Is this like a test thing, or you just trying to see if it works out? Like a
I've
guinea
done it
pig?
before. It's just for this show.
Yes, for this show. People usually don't want to call in. It's kind of us. People call in all the time to talk politics, and this is sort of related to politics, but that is a different show.
No, it's all a setup. He had.
Oh,
this
okay.
all
Yeah, I
out
figured it was.
that-
I was getting
Yes,
set up.
I'm
That's fine.
actually
That's
I'm actually
exactly
a
what it is.
Nigerian prince,
Yeah.
and I want to know if you could.
He's siphoning your
yes.
numbers now as you're talking. It's just taking.
Oh, yep.
It's
Yeah.
it's an up
I know.
process. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
As long as it's
Well,
established.
luckily I have no money, so
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
All right. There we go. All
Numbers
right.
We
to
go.
do.
But the reason I wanted to have you on, you posted something on Facebook today. It's an article you wrote about the firing of, I can't pronounce this guy's last name. Can you help me out?
Yes, it's Chuck Wendig. He was the writer for he was a writer for Marvel. He's actually a novelist. He's done several novels, but he's also a writer for Marvel for a lot of their high-profile Star Wars titles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, see, the reason I wanted to talk about this because Marvel fired him for some anti.
He said, "Fuck Trump."
Yes, that's one way to put.
Actually, so it's a little bit more nuanced than that. He has a long history of being very kind of
Anti-Trump.
liberal-minded and very kind of what's the best word for it? He actually places, like a lot of prominent artists do, and a lot of artists who feel confident enough to do it, he puts a lot of his politics and his thoughts
His
into the
art.
work that he does. So he drew a lot of wrath from this movement or this organization called Comicsgate, which is a anti-diversity movement or an attempt at an anti-diversity movement in comics. So he had gone back and forth with them probably for the last couple years. And then after Kavanaugh got um, nominated to the Supreme Court, still hard for me to say, after he got nominated to the Supreme Court, Wendig just went on a multi-thread tirade on Twitter about that particular event. And he got into it with some prominent, I guess, right-wing nationalist personalities, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And based on that exchange, according to him, because he's not sure, because all he got from the editor at Marvel was they were cutting him out of the books and they were letting him go, even though he was in the middle of his deal. He was in the middle of writing a script.
Interesting.
So, you put 1.5 and 1.5 together, and you got fired because of what you said on Twitter.
Now,
So
I do want
He
to
should have
add.
kept that to himself, man.
I want to add to a little bit to the story. LeVar, can you full screen some of those tweets? We screenshotted some of his tweets.
And while he's doing
Okay.
that, if we could just, Mr. Hennessy, if you could just explain to the listeners like who you are, just like a quick little
Yes.
brief.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I
like,
should
that would-
actually
that would-
do that because
that'd
now
be
I'm just ranting and raving and
Right.
nobody knows why
That's
I'm
kind of
even
what this
talking
show
about it.
is, though. So
good. Yeah,
don't feel
ranting
bad.
and
Okay.
raving all the time.
So basically, I am a entertainment attorney who specializes in the comic book industry. I've worked for Marvel in the past. I've worked for Amazon. I did most of my work for independent writers and artists. And the post that I put on my website today was related to the business and legal aspects of the comic book industry, which I write about all the time. So this is just one post out of like hundreds that I've done. And because art and politics have always kind of commingled, especially in comics, it's not really uncommon for these kind of issues to pop up on my website. But I guess this is the one that you guys picked, so this is what we'll talk about.
And what's the name of that website? You can plug it.
Okay, good. I didn't want to just like throw it out there.
Right,
posted
and
the
I
link in the
appreciate
chat also.
you, not just throwing it out there, but yeah, go ahead, no problem.
The name of the company and the name of the website are the same for marketing purposes. It's creativecontractconsulting.com.
Okay, beautiful.
Right, and I've also, if anyone wants to click on the link in the chat, I've posted that link so you can get directly to it. So if you are a creator and you should get your legal stuff together before they end up doing you like
Everyone.
yeah, basically, give this guy a call. I've done work with him before. He's treated me very well, so I highly recommend give him a call if you have any questions. Whether it's about, I mean, you can tell him what your services are, but anything contract related stuff. You have artists working for you, you have writers working for you, you have, you want to get a corporation set up, name it.
Yeah, musicians, filmmakers, anything creatively related that you actually would like to protect the rights to and you'd like to potentially make some money from, you should probably, in 99.9% of all cases, get the contracts and all the registrations and legal stuff squared away before you blow up. Because if you do it after you blow up, it's probably going to be too late.
Yes, and the vultures will come and pick your eyes out. Now, let's get down to
These tweets.
Yeah, these tweets. No, but
Shout out to Duran and Courtney for the check-in.
Yes, and Miss Baldiaki.
Thank you.
What I also, some more dots that I wanted to connect. So Star Wars is obviously owned by Disney.
Yes.
Disney let this man go because of, he was politically outspoken on Twitter. Happened to be going against the Trump administration, or just the GOP in general. Now, Disney recently let someone else go, which is James Gunn. Also very politically outspoken against the Trump administration. Also, we should add that the head of Marvel Entertainment, Ike Perlmutter, is a part of Trump's, his Mar-a-Lago crew that basically shadow run the VA, right? So what I'm saying is Marvel and Disney are, like it or not, they are very close to the Trump administration. Yeah. And it seems like people who speak out against them, be it in comics or in film, they end up losing their jobs. And what I want to
shut the F up.
But is that where we want to be? Do we want to just say, artists, you cannot express yourself? And if you do,
stop putting it on Twitter. Tell your friends.
Hold on. There's two things that you have to keep in mind when you are actually attempting to connect the dots and say, because Ike runs Marvel and Ike is Trumpzilla's friend, then therefore Marvel as a whole, or Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment, because keep in mind, those are by and large two separate entities, where Kevin Feige is running Marvel Studios, Ike is running Marvel Entertainment. Ike does not actually get really any say at all what happens in Marvel Studios since Disney bought them, because Disney bought them and said, so Ike, you need to sit over here. You have the comics, you have the Netflix shows by and large, you got the ABC shows, stay right there.
Right.
So that's the first part. So the films and what happened with the films and with James Gunn is a related thing, because it is one mega conglomerate, but it's not necessarily Ike with his finger on that, just because of the way the corporate hierarchy works. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that part. And I would argue that the decision to get rid of James Gunn went above even Kevin Feige's head. That more felt like what's this Alan? What's the guy under Bob Iger? You
can't make jokes about child rape and stuff like that and expect not to get fired.
But he made that before they hired him.
I get all of that, but people didn't know about it then, because whoever did it and it became like public consciousness again. It's just like they gotta react to pressure. Even though they reacted quickly and harshly, sometimes you just gotta react.
Right before their Fox merger. I'm saying
you can't mess up the church's money, man. They gotta get these X-Men movies.
But hold on.
The deal is going down in January.
When you actually hire somebody as high profile in a director's position as like a James Gunn or Ryan Coogler or anybody like that, there's a process that happens called due diligence, where somebody in Disney security, the Disney ninjas, go off into the world, and they're supposed to figure out what any kind of potential liability having that name attached to that project might bring, whether it's you're a drug addict, you were a child molester, you were whatever. So when the thing went down, what I thought was, okay, somebody somewhere 6 or 7 years ago didn't really do their job. They said, okay, well, James Gunn, and they looked at like the first page of his tweets or something. They looked at the page 1 of his Google. They're like, oh, that's cool. And then they moved on. And that's not really the way to do it.
So you believe that it's an overstep, if it was just an oversight, that they just didn't really, look into it
when it first happened.
Or they actually, because I think when any director comes in, they do a pitch of what kind of film they want to do for Marvel's property. Marvel goes, cool, but before the contract gets signed, they do all of these checks. There's no way they hand this person $100 million project and not do their checks. Now, it could be they saw the tweets. They could be that they looked at everything, and on balance, they said, well, It is a risk that we are willing to pursue based on, his pitch relative to everybody else's pitch. Because every director you bring in, every artist you bring in is a potential risk because artists are not by nature, by definition, morally or virtuous individuals. I mean, some of them, I guess, could be, but that's not really what we're asking our artists to be. So when you have a large corporation making a huge investment, they understand they have to take a certain amount of risks. Now, either they saw the tweets or they didn't see the tweets, but somehow they let the tweets go. So James Gunn got let go, but I don't believe that had. I mean, this is from the outside looking in because it's been a long time since I worked. Had anything to do with that particular thing?
So here, that's totally reasonable, and I do want to connect this to the comic issue as well. I guess the thing that I'm trying to say is that it didn't become an issue until alt-right people made it an issue, and these people complained. So the guy from the Star Wars comic, he has a history of doing this, but it didn't become an issue until Comicsgate people started to complain. And so what I'm saying is, it seems like more and more, and I don't just want to put this on Disney, but Disney, they fired 2 people now for this, right?
Okay.
No matter what company or whatever your business, you start saying crazy shit on Twitter, and it can mess up their money or it gives them bad publicity, companies will fire you. If you work in McDonald's, right, and then after work you still have on your McDonald's uniform and you get on the internet and start saying fuck Trump and all type of shit like that, somebody will call up your McDonald's and be like, oh, your employee was saying this, you're fired the next day.
And we can even take out the conspiracy theory that Marvel is cozy with.
You said the same shit about Obama, and it'd be the same thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Take out the conspiracy theory that my conspiracy theory that Marvel is very cozy or Disney is cozy with the GOP.
Keep your political views to yourself.
Yes, I don't. Whatever. Maybe it's not a coincidence that they're cozied up with Fox and they want that to go well. But forget about all that.
Okay, but hold on. Before we forget about it, because I believe that is something that should actually be addressed. Keep in mind that Comicsgate began the alt-right comics thing against diversity in comics started because Marvel started to put diversity in their comics. There was 70 years of comic book history where you did not necessarily have a whole lot of diversity. And when Axel Alonso was editor-in-chief of Marvel, he said, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to throw diversity at everything. If, in fact, Marvel and Disney was kind of in bed with the GOP, they would have not actually, that order would have come down to, you're not having a female Thor, you're not having a Pakistani Miss Marvel, you're not having I don't know what that space Ghost Rider thing is about. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. But a black Captain America, a female Iron Man who's also black. You would never had any of that if Marvel was really down with the GOP. Because if that was the case, Comicsgate would have never started. Because you would have had the same characters representing the same demographic groups as you have always had for the past 70 years. So Marvel, in a way, was actually going against the GOP and the prevailing, small-minded, aggrieved entitlement. Until you what?
Until they jumped into an arrangement to buy Fox. By the way, new Fox, which will be the company that owns, which will be the name of the company that is merged into Disney. Their head of communications is now Hope Hicks of former White House fame, Trump's Trump whisperer. So I'm just saying, but forget about all that, right?
I think there's
because I think we're gonna talk in circles around that.
Right. I just wanted to comment that there's a couple of things that it's assuming that the GOP in and of itself is just this racist, non-conforming machine, right? And as if that can't exist in some type of way on the other side, right? Whether it's liberals or progressives or whatever word, not getting lost in semantics, however you want to call them, it's on both sides, right? So just casting that but I do get what you're saying in terms of, well, one side may have been more hesitant to allow the amount of diversity that has come, come on into comics. But
Mhm.
either way, it doesn't matter whether liberal, progressive, however you want to call a name. There's people who are just apprehensive because they like their characters, or they were conditioned, or they were raised seeing a character a certain way. Now,
Mhm.
and so there's that, right? I think going further is that you have where you have these guys getting fired. It's not so much that Disney is against or anti, anti this gentleman because he made some comments about Trump, whereas it's kind of a another part of it that because the what I'm getting at is because we've become so hypersensitive as a society, right? You have to take more precautions because everything has become political, right? You can't separate
Mhm.
anything anymore. So you don't want to offend as many people, especially as we talked about before, that you're trying to get this merger going, and you don't want anyone to have a reason.
Everybody has to be on code.
Yes.
But my question is this, and this is what I really wanted to come to and why I wanted to call you up and thank you for joining the show. But what kind of art will we get if the modus operandi is that you cannot offend anyone? And if you do offend a small group on any side of a particular political argument, then we're just going to have to fire you. Won't you? If you have bland artists, won't you end up with bland art? And is that what we really want? Isn't an artist supposed to piss some people off or more people off? You know what I mean?
Well, there's two ways to look at it, and one I will give you the historical context. There was a book written, I guess it was in the 50s, late 50s, called Seduction of the Innocent. Seduction of the Innocent was a book written by a gentleman named Wortham. This book postulated that the delinquency of youth in America was directly related to comics. There were Senate hearings about how bad comics were and how comics were promoting delinquency, criminality, homosexuality, and pretty much everything.
Right.
The comics industry, in response to this, because they thought they were going to get shut down completely, they created something called the Comics Code. The Comics Code basically stripped everything that might have been offensive to anyone, anywhere. And this is in the 1950s, so the list was much longer. And it created a situation where comic books were only seen as something that was diluted to the point where it was only suitable for children under the age of like 10.
Okay.
This is like what happened in the 50s, 60s. It was not till like the 70s, 80s, 90s with Marvel actually, I believe, leading the way in this, after you had underground comics deciding, well, okay, we're not part of the comics code. We don't actually give a fuck. We're going to do whatever we want, which is where you get your R crumbs and everything else. It was also something that did not actually impact the growth of European comics, Japanese comics, South American comics. Only up until like the 80s or 90s did people break out of the comics code and then start actually making stories that adults could read. You would not have X-Men, which is by definition a political story from the time Chris Claremont joined the actual thing. You would not have that if you necessarily had the comics code. You wouldn't have anything like Mouse or Watchmen, I believe, if you had the comics code. You wouldn't have American Gods. You would actually get something that has to appeal to the lowest common denominator. And in America, the lowest common denominator is always, it has to be acceptable for parents to give their children.
Okay.
So now you got Strawberry Shortcake. What's going to happen if this actually is a chilling effect on comic book artists, especially prominent comic book artists who have other sources of income, is that all of the really good work, all of the really compelling work is going to come through independent comics. because now we are not in a situation that we were in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, where the only people who could publish comics were people who would actually be able to publish hundreds of thousands of issues and actually eat that cost.
Right.
There's print on demand, there's small press, there's internet distribution, there's web comics, there's 15 different ways for you to get, for an artist to get their book out into the world. You could pay for it through crowdfunding, you could do microtransactions, you could do your own advertising. An independent artist who really wants to make a political statement and not just Thor punching Loki, which is also on a certain level a political statement, but that's going deeper into the situation. The actual meat of the art is going to move into the independent space. I mean, on a certain level, it's already moving into the independent space, just because you have a lot of long tail distribution going on and niche markets are being created. So not everyone has to go to the Marvels and the DCs of the world to get what they want in their stories. They can go to independent press, they can go to small press. I mean, it is a new era, and there's nobody on either side of the political divide that's going to be able to stop those stories from coming out now, because there are too many ways for those stories to come out.
So maybe in the long run, this is a good thing. I guess the bad thing is that the characters that we have grown up with will become more generic, and we'll have to look to new characters and new artists to tell us stories that have meat on either side of any, political discussion.
I really don't think that, it's what you say inside the art, because art is art. That's subjective, It's what you say in your personal time. And that can more get you fired.
Yeah.
If you're trying to speak on an issue through art, it's looked at differently. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get in trouble for that, as opposed to you saying "fuck this person" on your personal Twitter.
I guess so, because Disney or any of these big companies has not really fired anyone for people complaining about, oh, Star Wars or Marvel has become SJWs. No,
it's
right?
just like
they fire them.
It's because of shit you say, and it's getting them bad publicity, so you're fired.
But that's the last question I'll ask, because I don't want to take too much of your time, sir. And we probably got to move on. Should an artist be able to express themselves based on what their beliefs are?
I'm going to go back to I'm going to stop being a comic book historian for a second. I'm going to go back to being an attorney. You have to actually look at what's in your contract. There are certain clauses, and this is one of the things that I mentioned in my article this morning. There are certain clauses in your contract that can actually regulate your behavior when you are not working for the company. So the same way that a musical artist who's endorsing like Pepsi can't get caught, as a drug mule at the airport, even if at that moment they're not really working for Pepsi. You will get fired that way. There's certain things, like if you read any kind of sports contract, like the NFL contract, you cannot display conduct that is detrimental to the organization that you are representing, even if you are not actually wearing the uniform at the time. Now, whether that actually gets enforced or not,
well,
that's different.
The NFL encourages them to continue their bad behavior, but that's a whole other topic of conversation.
Yes, they do. But in the contract, it actually says that they can't do that. And if you're an artist and you're actually looking to actually get money from a organization, whether it's large or small, you have to look at what's in the contract. A lot of contracts, especially with like an independent publisher, doesn't say that. So you can do pretty much whatever you want to do, unless, of course, it says you can terminate without cause. Then you have to kind of walk a fine line, because it doesn't explicitly say you can't just go on a political, expletive-filled tirade on Twitter, but that may be why they fired you.
Right.
It could be that's what was in Wendig's contract, because the editor did not say, well, the editor did kind of say there's too much negativity coming out of your social media, which is why they let you go, because it was going to be detrimental to the brand. And it's not even it was Marvel's brand, it's Disney's brand. So, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do
that. And
I'll
leave you with this last quote from Bob Chipman, and then I'll let you go, good sir. And I quoted this last week, but I think it applies here. So we have to look at where a lot of the complaints are coming from on Twitter about like from Comicsgate or Gamergate or people that hate the new Star Wars or whatever. Even though I'm not a fan of The Last Jedi, but not for these other Mary Sue reasons. But that's a discussion for another day. But Bob Chipman says you have to look at what this amounts to. So it's like new Star Wars is bad really equals diversity era Star Wars is bad, which really equals diversity / SJWs are bad, which really equals liberal / feminism is bad, which really equals red pill / men's rights, which really equals anti-globalism / nationalism, which really equals Trumpism, neo-Nazism, Brexit, etc. Right? And so a lot of the times, are these people really traditionalists, or is there anger about these things coming from another place? And is it Russian trolls? I don't know. But I'll leave you all with that, and then we'll get into the news. Thank you, sir. You are welcome to call in anytime, and our viewers also, if you guys want to call in, please call in as well. Do you want to tell them where they can find you one more time before you go?
Yes, sir. The name of the site and the name of the company is called Creative Contract Consulting. And my name is Gamal Hennessy. And if you have any entertainment-related legal issues or questions, you let me know. We'll talk it out. We have free consultations.
All right. Thank you, good sir.
Greatly
You're always
appreciate
welcome
it.
on the show.
Thank you, Governor.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. It is time for us. We jumped out of order. We did the focal point first, but I think we had a good conversation.
Yes.
And now we are going to get into the news.
For those who are still here.
Yes. First on the list of the news today is Venom is #1 at the box office again. It beat out First Man, the big space moon landing movie, as well as it beat out A Star Is Born again. This pushes it to 142 domestic.
Okay.
And
Take that, Lady Gaga. Bam, it burns, don't it?
Nearly 400 million.
In your face. Your hating ass fans try to shut down Venom with your fake and hate and your fake reviews.
Nearly 400 million with the in 10 days with the international numbers.
Okay.
It's
a success.
Yeah, it's
part 2 is
taking
coming.
names and kicking ass.
Spider-Man going to be in the next part.
Now, that's the next thing. Speaking of Spider-Man, can we get a picture of the new Spider-Man costume? All right, so you guys can see this new Spider-Man costume here. Basically, he has a new, instead of red and blue, it's red and black. And that tells me he's borrowing a lot from good old Miles Morales.
Is he?
I mean, the costume kind of reminds me, when you think about the red and the black and the fingertips, that's kind of how Miles Morales' costume looks.
Spider-Man has had several costumes, and he has had costumes that has resembled that before Miles Morales.
No, I'm just saying with the black arms and the red fingertips.
I get that, but Spider-Man has had costumes
like that before. Don't disrespect Peter Parker?
Before Miles Morales was even a thing. And Spider-Man originally, like, his costume was like black and red.
Okay. Well, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
And it's
but
one
it
photo.
Does look like Miles Morales' costume.
We got another photo there, right? Can you show him another one?
It's just one photo. So, I mean,
there's a couple of costumes. Did you see the Spider-Man Noir costume that's in there?
We don't know.
No, I didn't see that one.
We don't know what the second film is about.
You don't even know. I seen that. Did you see Mysterio?
I did see that with the Jake Gyllenhaal stuff. Okay, but here's the thing. I thought Spider-Man was dead.
What if this Spider-Man is
dead,
the Mysterio imposter? Because
or
Mysterio has done that before.
Give me a full screen on that. What if this is actually Miles Morales? Because Spider-Man's dead.
How about no?
Just like Black Panther.
How about no? Because there's photos of, Tom Holland there on set. So there's that.
It's flashbacks.
Yeah, nah.
This takes place right after Avengers.
And when he talks, there's like,
I'm not really
have
sure.
you seen the footage of him talking to her? And bouncing up and down, you only saw the pictures?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're not doing your Googles.
I'm not doing my Googles correctly on this one?
Nah, man.
Okay.
Mad stuff.
So, in other Marvel news,
And I'm pretty sure it's like an alternate Spider-Man or something.
You guys remember Iron Fist?
No,
No?
no.
It is done.
Good.
Apparently neither did Disney or
Nah,
Netflix.
man. See, this is the whole thing. Because from what I read, people liked the second season. They, you know, it was on an uptick. It was showing signs of life.
Yeah, it had a 65 instead of a 60. So
Just barely passed.
there you go.
Getting D's and everything.
Nah, but it's just like
No wonder Iron Fist getting D's and everything.
Iron Fist is still going to live on in other shows. They're still going to be, you know, heroes for hire. And
I mean,
shit like
do
that.
we think
there's just not going to be an Iron Fist solo show?
do we think that they merged the Luke Cage and Iron
Yes.
Fist show?
Heroes
And
for
is
hire.
that disrespect to Luke Cage?
No, because that's where it was going anyway.
Well, this is the first one that they've just cut the contract short. They didn't
Right.
extend it. Netflix didn't extend the contract. They didn't say, "Hey, we'll take you on one more
And
time."
I don't even get
they just
that.
cut it short, kept it.
I
moving.
don't even get that because
I have
it's
some
like
conspiracy theories since I'm the conspiracy theorist.
it's not
today.
like it comes
But go
on
ahead.
TV and people paying for ad revenue. It's just they're like it's on a streaming service, so it's just if anything, it's just more content there. But it's just like we don't.
Yeah,
make
you
no
could
more.
take that million and use it
Yeah,
for
you
something
could,
else.
you could put it into another like stupid movie that comes out.
Right.
Because it's just like Iron Fist ain't getting people new subscribers. Like when we put up the billboard, people don't really care, so we're not gonna spend.
No. Nobody's
And
beasting to see
Iron
the new
Fist
Iron Fist.
actually was the show that killed the hype train
Of the Defenders, yeah.
of the whole Netflix Marvel series.
Especially since when Defenders first came out, the picture they had on it was Iron Fist. I was like, why would you put Iron Fist? Not even all
The
of
one
them.
everybody.
He was
Iron
leading.
Fist.
He
Yeah.
was leading like as
And
if
they
it's all
they
about him.
they,
Yeah, it should have
they
been
put
Daredevil
the
on that
Defenders
shit.
in his storyline. It was all about Kung Lun and the dragon and all of that. And it was
Trash.
just, but so the point is, I think that it was putting a stink on the whole Marvel Netflix name.
They should have
and they
made
had to
Iron
get it
Fist
out of there.
Asian.
I
I know
think
he's
so.
not Asian in the comics, but they should have just made him
I
Asian.
think they should have.
like updated it and then just
Yeah.
had an Asian
Yeah.
star.
Someone who could actually fight.
Yes.
That would have been more important.
And
I
make both of his hands glow instead of one.
I don't think that there's anything about Danny Rand that says he needs to be a white guy,
No.
right?
I'm talking about
They could have just named
the
changed his
character.
name to
Yeah,
Well,
Danny
he has
Chan.
blonde hair in
They
like,
No,
could've
I
done
know
that.
he has it in the comic, but I mean, you could give anybody blonde hair. But what I'm saying is, what about his character inherently says he needed to be?
Yo,
a
they
white
could have just
guy?
made him Chinese, right? His name is Danny Rand.
Yeah.
Okay, so his name
Stop.
could have been Danny
Hold on.
Rand, but it's Danny Rand. You know, because he's Chinese.
Hey, come on.
I lost you.
Danny Rand.
Okay. Now, here's another conspiracy theory. Is this the canary in the coal mine, whereas they're going to start canceling more of these shows that are not doing numbers, right? And also, Courtney says he says he thinks it makes Luke Cage look stronger. But my question is, what if this is just in preparation for the Disney streaming series? Because they said Iron Fist will no longer continue on Netflix.
Right.
They didn't say no longer continue. Right? So what if they pull him first because nobody cares? They get away with this. Not that they have to get away with anything, but people don't complain. Then they start taking the other ones. People get used to it. And slowly but surely, they pull
So
all
the
these
first
shows
one that
over
they're
to
going to put on
Netflix.
there, the first one they're working on the Disney streaming service is Iron Fist.
Maybe they got a plan to make
Really?
it dope. Because they're putting big budgets into these things.
They're gonna just reintroduce Iron Fist for you. This is like all.
They should
Holy
recast it and
shit,
everything.
man.
You sound like you look like you had an idea.
Nah, maybe they're going to take all their shit off of there because they're going to actually start putting these mother effers in movies.
I don't know if they'll put them in movies, but I do think we're gonna get movie quality TV shows. Because they're supposed to be spending like Game of Thrones money on these Marvel and Star Wars shows.
It's going to be
So I'd
way
be
better than the Netflix versions.
Yeah, exactly. And then people like, oh, you want the real Defenders? You got to go to the Disney streaming service.
Right.
You want the Mandalorian? You
But
know what I mean?
Daredevil
Because-
is great.
And the other thing is, I think you'll see more.
The fight choreography is awesome.
It is, but there's different showrunners. In the same way, for a time, the Walking Dead was amazing, and Fear the Walking Dead was terrible because they had different showrunners.
right.
But I
The
say all
Morgan
that
Show,
to
you
say
mean?
Spoiler alert.
the Morgan Show now.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Spoiler alert, it's a brick.
Yeah, it's still terrible.
Even though it's the Morgan show, do you watch it?
Nah. Morgan
So how
couldn't
would you know
save
it's a
it.
brick?
Unless they made it the Morgan and Rick show,
I know.
then I'd watch it.
I know.
But anyways, the
The
thing
Morgan and Brick show?
no.
Everybody who
Rick-
was originally on it is dead. It's just like, so it's completely.
So it's
Morgan
like
show.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Will be after in season 10. Okay,
It's about the merger.
but the point that I wanted to
Whispers.
come at is that if maybe in the Disney streaming service, since they're doing a Loki TV show and a Scarlet Witch TV show, maybe the movie characters interact with the Defenders on the streaming service, because the movie characters that don't get solo movies are getting TV shows.
Right.
And maybe they merge it up like that.
So,
Get you comfortable with seeing them.
Yeah.
so the chick who plays Scarlet Witch is going to be on the show.
Yes. Tom Hiddleston and I can't remember her name.
So Vision's coming back.
Maybe. But Vision sounds very expensive. Is all I'm saying. So,
Why? He'll just, all they got to do is paint up his face. He can wear a turtleneck.
that's true too. Or he don't even have to change.
Yeah, because he can change. He can make himself look like normal, like regular. Him. He did that. He could force project.
Now, Courtney says, will Disney's content actually be affiliated with the MCU? In the streaming service, yes. Because
Yes.
it's the actual characters and actors from the movies.
They're going to acknowledge them.
Yes.
They won't be the stepchildren anymore.
Here is a question.
Disney's taking it.
Does
This
does
was their plan all
the
along.
Black Widow movie actually go to theaters, or does it go to the streaming service?
And will you be mad? Should you be mad?
I think
I
she
think
still got
Scarlett
paid.
Johansson will be mad.
No, she
getting
still got
15
paid. She got
million.
15 million.
But my question
If
is
she-
this. We're talking about that in a second. My question is this, though.
I wouldn't pay to see that.
I would
There it is.
absolutely pay. I would
There you go.
100%
I
pay
ain't
to
pay
see
to
that.
see either Ant-Man.
Well, that's on you.
There you go.
What I'm saying is, I would much rather see a Black Widow movie than Captain Marvel movie. I'm just putting that out there.
I don't even know if I'm gonna go see
Would
that.
you?
Yeah, I would. If you're gonna do Black Widow like you do, what's his face, like James Bond, then I'm all for it.
Okay. But what if you don't?
If you do it
What
where
if
it's
it's like
like
Red
something
Sparrow?
exploding in the sky, no. But what if it's Red Sparrow but good? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, man.
This guy
It's
gets
gonna
it.
be like Winter Soldier without the steroids.
La Femme Nikita. Remember that?
I do remember that.
All right.
Or
Okay.
Atomic Blonde.
So-
or whatever.
They're finally paying that woman her money.
Yes, they are.
Do you think she deserves $15 million?
She been there long enough. Why not?
Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther got $2 million.
It's your first movie. You got to prove yourself.
Second movie, he got $984 million for
For
Civil War. Yes.
Okay, so upgrade.
984,000. Sorry.
I was like, what the fuck? What you mean 984 million? That's a big drop off.
No. So
It was like charity.
15 million. I mean, she's been putting in work since like the second
in
Iron
work.
Man.
Well, remember RDJ? He got 500,000.
Oh, for the first Iron Man, yeah, but he's getting like 50 million now.
Yo,
So
by the
show up.
time, if the next Black Panther do stupid numbers, he's gonna renegotiate.
You have to get points.
well,
Yeah.
you gotta finish your 6-movie deal first.
You got to get points before you can
Yeah.
renegotiate. So I don't know what movie this is for him. This is his fourth.
Who? Chadwick?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
it would be.
Civil-
He's been in 3 if you count Infinity War, Civil
And
War,
Infinity
and Black
and
Panther.
Infinity War 4.
And
I'm
that-
sure his
and-
lawyer is renegotiating his contract.
Well,
as we speak.
that's what I'm saying. You can't if you sign the 6-picture deal, you get what you get. You can't renegotiate till after that's
Right.
done.
The contract is
but-
a contract.
The contract says you get more money as it goes on.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But whatever
get
he's
back end,
getting
you get
is
points.
already negotiated,
Right.
and hopefully he's getting back end later on in the contract because a lot of them do. Now, speaking of Chadwick
Well, he
Boseman
gets
and
whatever.
Black
You,
Panther,
you don't get what you're worth. You get what you negotiate for. So hopefully
true.
his
you
lawyer,
get what
you know,
your manager is worth. That's
Yeah.
what you get.
Right.
hopefully he has a really big entertainment lawyer.
He should. I'd be surprised because what does he play?
Hopefully
James
he has,
Brown,
you know,
Thurgood
Ari or
Marshall,
some shit.
Jackie Robinson. Anyways, speaking of Black Panther,
Right.
it is
That's a
official
reference.
now that Ryan Cooglar has signed on to write and direct Black Panther 2.
Wow, is that a surprise to anyone?
He could have
It
walked
could be.
away
He
like
could
he
have
walked
just
away from
kept it
Creed.
moving.
Yeah,
He
sure.
could have said, I'm never going to get a better reception than I got on the first one, so it's
Sure.
downhill from here. Like, if I was Kevin Feige, not that I want this to happen, But after Infinity War, I'd been like, yo, I'm
He's
out.
like, yo, Marvel
It's not getting
pays
better than
way
this.
better, and I made some shit like as opposed to me going to do some shit for freaking Sylvester Stallone again, who don't even freaking thank me when he win awards. It's like, nah, I'm good. Stay over here.
Or as an artist, he just wants to make other things.
Yeah, because he wants to get his Christopher Nolan on. Although Christopher Nolan did 3 Batman.
Maybe it's a surprise to you, not a surprise to me.
Also, the other thing is, though, he could go anywhere he wants. Like, I'm sure Warner Brothers would pay him. They'd be like, whatever Disney paying you, I'll double it.
Yeah.
Just to have his name attached to their stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he still
matters.
has more story he wanted to tell because the way he was setting it up.
He's
so
trying to get that Storm in there.
Yeah.
He's like, we are going to start writing the day after the Fox deal closes.
That's it. Storm is in the next movie. Facts.
Speaking of the Fox deal, I want Namor in the next movie.
Freaking Nakia is gonna be with Killmonger, and freaking she gonna
if
be
they go back in time in Avengers 4. By the way, someone asked Mark Ruffalo what Avengers 4 the title was. He's like, it's called Avengers 4 #register to vote.
Register to vote. Yeah.
Now the other thing is, speaking of Marvel and Disney and Fox. So we talked a little bit about the Sky thing
photos.
the Sky deal going to Comcast.
Right.
So now that that's happening, new reports say that the Disney Fox merger will be done by January 1st, 2019. So sooner than expected because they don't have to deal with all the Sky stuff.
That means
right now that's out the way.
That means Dark Phoenix is never coming out. New Mutants is never coming out.
They conveniently pushed back
all
Dark
shit
Phoenix
back to
past when they knew the deal would be closed.
I'm telling you, man.
Now,
it's coming out on the streaming service.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it ever see the light of day, or does it just go straight streaming?
It might not never see the light of day.
Okay, if you were Kevin Feige, would you kill it?
Hell yes, because now I can put it in my shit right away.
Yes,
I don't have to freaking get it.
Well,
I don't have to get it out of public consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
You don't gotta get the stink out of
people. It's been 2 years since that last trash movie came out. None of that shit exists no more.
For the Phoenix stuff, yeah, I wouldn't, because you're trying to build the next world.
I don't even
with
get
the
why they're making another
but
Phoenix
for New
movie
Mutants, you
if they already did it.
You want to have that out there. Just let people see.
I say you do New Mutants on a streaming service. By the way, Courtney says he bets Ryan's Cooglar's new contract is crazy. It has to be because they were negotiating that whole time.
Hell
yeah. Be getting all the monies. And then he said Namor in which movie? In Black Panther. You remember the story? By the way, if you bring in Namor, that's how you bring in Storm. Maybe you bring in Storm in Black Panther 3 because
Namor?
Black Panther was married to Storm, and
they definitely got a divorce.
They got a divorce, but why did they get a divorce? Because he was so focused on her that he wasn't paying attention when Namor came and flooded half of Wakanda because the Wakandans and the Atlanteans were at war.
Yeah. Either
from
that,
the comics.
Or they bring in Kraven like how they was planning on in the first place.
Nah, they need that for Spider-Man. Because, by the way, they said they're going into production on the Sony side of things with a Kraven the Hunter movie.
Right.
That shit ain't never coming out.
It might. So that's the other thing with Sony. Like, do we think that
Kraven
with Venom doing so well
without Spider-Man?
What if he's hunting Venom? Because Spider-Man was wearing a black suit when they did Kraven's last hunt.
He loses. Can't nobody beat Venom.
With spoiler alert,
nobody can beat Venom.
In the Kraven the Last Hunt storyline, after Kraven proves that he could catch Spider-Man and then poses as Spider-Man and kill. Yes, come on, man, you couldn't let me get the. No. You're pulling a LeVar, man.
I couldn't.
He killed Spider-Man and buried him.
No, he didn't kill him. He just buried him. And
he thought he was dead.
No. I think he just kind of knocked him out, or maybe he thought he was dead.
Yeah, he gave him some shit, and then it wore off, and then he dug his way out. A la Kill Bill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, Kill Bill probably got it from that. Because that came out before Kill Bill. That storyline was from the 80s.
Right.
Now, my question is, Courtney says F Sony, and he says he's hearing Venom sucks ass.
It's all right. It's not that bad.
It's bad in a way that you can enjoy it because you realize it's a train wreck.
It's not good and it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's not even whack.
You won't be mad if you didn't see it, and you won't be pissed off if you saw it.
Now, LeVar, you should point out something. You got to see it not in front of a crowd for a little bit, and you did not have the same reaction when the whole crowd was laughing and screaming.
If I was to take off points, I gave it a 7. Then I give it like a 6.5, 6.
Okay.
But it's still not whack.
Courtney
It's still
says it
entertaining.
sounds like it cheapens the brand. Now, my question to you
It's
is...
not terrible. It's not wholly terrible, but it's very paint by numbers. It's just like they rushed this thing. It's just like they announced there was going to be a Venom movie, and then like 7 or 8 months later, it was out. It was just they didn't even take their time with this. They could have took their time with made the CG better. They could have took their time and made the story better. I'm not going to tell you. Go see it because I don't want to ruin shit for you, but they could have definitely made it better.
Okay.
He's not ruining anything. Does Sony caught lightning in a bottle with Venom, or did they just get lucky? Does the second
lucky.
Venom
do better than this one?
Hell yeah.
Will the second Venom do better?
Box office wise.
Yep.
People will still come. People will go out to see it.
People come back to see it.
If you bring an interesting villain for him to
Carnage
to go against.
Now,
if they work some shit out with
or
Marvel,
as they tease Carnage, yeah.
If they get Tom Holland Spider-Man and that shit, it's doing gangbusters, bro.
okay.
$1 billion.
All right. Now that's the other question. Does Sony say, you know what, Marvel? We actually don't need you anymore. We did this whack Venom movie and it did all this money. And we're gonna do a Venom 2 that may make more money. And then we're already greenlighting the Morbius movie. So
if both actors say they with it, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, but they're with it within the context of being in the MCU. Like basically, Tom Hardy's begging to be in the MCU,
right?
And Tom Holland said he wants to play opposite Tom Hardy, but in the MCU.
Yeah,
that's where they want it. Will they even want to do this thing anymore if it's not in the MCU?
Right.
And then they could work right alongside Jamie Foxx.
Venom could still,
as long as they're getting paid.
Like Venom and Spider-Man don't have to be, in each other's universes. Like Venom could have his own Venomverse because there's mad different symbiotes. There's a whole bunch of them, and Spider-Man has his Spider-Verse. Like Venom could come over into the MCU and then go back and then do the Sony movies.
I mean, he's in San Francisco.
Yeah, Sony doesn't have the patience to teach people about symbiotes. When they go into it, and it was just didn't it say 3 years later? They don't
explain where the symbiotes came from.
They did explain it. It was in a movie called Life.
Oh yeah,
and this you had the Life Foundation in this. You saw that movie Life?
Yeah, it's not a Marvel movie. Steve, stop reaching.
It's from the same writers.
Yeah, word. I get all of that.
The movie was called Life. This is the Life Foundation. It was literally it was black goop.
It was
inside of a tube,
breaking people's fingers.
And it
trying to get to Earth,
steering
the ship. Spoiler alert: steering the ship to get to Earth.
And they crashed in Malaysia in the same place in the end.
In that movie?
They absolutely
no, but they didn't. They were only in the spaceship in the movie, so it was just the astronauts, and they all died. So technically, it could have.
That was the origin of the symbiote.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was in that movie.
Yes, but he died at the end.
So if they showed Jake Gyllenhaal in the beginning of a movie dying, then it would connect it.
Actually, they showed you after Crash.
If that was his voice where it was there like, oh shit, when shit was going left,
so
then that would connect.
So in the end of the Life movie, the ship crashes in Malaysia. The beginning of this movie, a ship crashes in Malaysia. The same kind of ship carrying black goop who got loose and caused the ship to crash.
It's not a Marvel movie though.
It's a Sony movie.
It looks like it's a Sony movie from the same writers. It looks like you start to believe it.
But it's not a Marvel movie.
And Ryan Reynolds was
connected.
in it.
And that last shot of Ryan, what's his name?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. No, I was going to say the wrong person. Jake Gyllenhaal, when he was just kind of just all stuck from the goop, just looking symbiotish.
Yeah.
And that's not even
Unless
a word.
Jake Gyllenhaal made a cameo in Venom, then it's not connected, bro.
That really was a missed opportunity. Like Life would have made another 100 million if you just said,
"This is the origin of Venom."
Yes,
watch it.
Yeah, that's it. You could have still called it Life,
right.
And you just put the MCU stuff in the beginning, or not MCU in association with Marvel.
Right.
There's a difference. You would have made another 100 million, and then you lead that, and it would have looked like you spent time in your universe, to build your universe, but they didn't want to do it.
They were scared.
They leave it to us.
Maybe Disney didn't want them to do it.
Courtney says if that's the case, then technically Venom killed Deadpool. Because Ryan Reynolds was in Life.
I see what he did there.
He wasn't Wade Wilson, and that's Fox. So
how hilarious would it be if he got up and looked up and looked around?
Deadpool is immortal. He can't die.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we should move on. We got sidetracked
Long-winded,
with
as always.
Venom. But the real question is will Sony take back Spider-Man now because they think they don't need the MCU?
Yep. It's
All right.
only like one more movie, bro.
So that kind of sucks. What do you think, Mr. Woods? You think they're dumb enough to do this, or smart enough?
Why do they need what you call it?
Marvel?
If they could figure out how to write better scripts, they wouldn't have leased them out to this people anyways. That what you call it? The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was such a break. With that Jamie Foxx.
Seems like they got
nonsense.
the same writers in Venom.
I think they'll lend it out.
You think they'll extend the Spider-Man deal with the MCU?
Yeah, they'll lend it out.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to lend out Venom too.
I don't think Kevin Feige wants Venom.
You know what'll happen? If anything,
Yes,
they'll
they
say they're not going to. They're going to keep Spider-Man
Why
for a
wouldn't they?
moment so that they can
Imagine-
put
Yeah.
Spider-Man into Venom's universe briefly and get whatever storylines that they want to get out of that to utilize him, and then push him back into.
That's going to dilute the brand. Kevin Feige's a man with a plan, and Sony's out
Kevin
there
Feige might be
reckless.
out. He's
That's
like,
true
"Listen, man,
too. And Disney
I
Yo,
did
they
likes
got
money.
mad other characters to play with once these X-Men come in, bro.
Yeah, I mean they might be fine either way. They'll be like, okay, we don't got Spider-Man no more, but we
Because
got
they
him already.
needed Spider-Man to tell this story, and it's just like that story is told. The Infinity War story, that saga's done, and we wanted to get this other movie out. So then that's it. Whatever.
Right.
We got 20, 30, 40 other characters to play with now. When you consider Fantastic Four, and you know what I'm saying?
They could make movies for another 10 years and not even get a chance to do another Spider-Man movie after.
You know
Far
how
From
many
Home.
villains come with X-Men and with Fantastic Four and all these other people and just the superheroes and sub-teams and all of that shit? Whatever.
And not to mention,
you got to see Spider-Man next to Johnny Storm one time."
not yeah, you
Imagine
do.
how dope the Venom movie
That
would have
race
been
through the city?
if Marvel proper had done that shit.
But hold on, one more thing though. How
How much
hilarious
better
would
it
it
would
be when the fan outrage if Sony takes back Spider-Man,
Right.
and then they put out a brick Spider-Man movie,
Oh,
and then everybody's
they
gonna
only
be
get
like,
one
"You did
chance.
this."
They only get one chance.
Okay, if let's say Spider-Man doesn't come in the next Venom movie, do you think the next Venom movie should be rated R? How do you do Carnage and it's not rated R?
I think you can do it.
Carnage, the serial killer, the murderer who like is brutal and kills people.
You cut right
Stabby,
before the
stabby,
money
stabby.
shot.
Yep.
It's all in the editing.
You gotta have blood, because like remember, like say with Spider-Man 2, how they didn't show it, but it's just like it was picking up saws and then blood will splash on the floor and whatever, and it was just like it looked like a horror movie, but they didn't show it.
Yeah. There you
You
go.
got to do it more like that.
All right, now moving on. I
They
think
got
this
to
is
edit
our
it better.
last Marvel superhero thing. James Gunn, DC picked up Marvel's leftovers.
Right.
Dear Diary, jackpot.
We knew-
we knew that was gonna happen.
We knew that they
He the
was
freaking
just like,
yo, he's the new girl in freaking high school, bro. It's just like the hot new sexy chick on the block. He just showed a little leg. He was like, yo, come over here.
Right. Yo,
yeah,
sure they.
and Dave Bautista riding out was like, where can I sign up?
Yo, man,
I'm
that's
like,
it.
Slow down. Let me get acclimated over here first.
He been told y'all mad times, y'all make me sick to my stomach. F Marvel.
He hitched his wagon to the James Gunn.
Brand.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a rider, bro. I need friends like Dave Bautista, bro. Like I'm willing to fuck up millions of dollars because you my guy. He's like, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me?
He's getting that money though.
I mean, listen,
He's like,
I'm not.
yeah, man.
Now, here's the question.
Dave's my guy.
Is this actually going to work out? Because Warner Brothers they wanted to do an Avengers type movie, right? So they brought over the guy that did Avengers,
Right.
and that didn't turn out too well with Justice League. Now, Suicide Squad was always supposed to be a Guardians, like DC's Guardians, right?
Okay.
So
I'm
they brought in
excited
the
for
guy
it.
who did Guardians. Is this going to turn out how Justice League turned out?
What if Disney sent them out there so he can just destroy
Playing the long game, sabotage.
Sabotage.
just destroy DC like completely. They put out their shows every time DC gets ready to drop something new. on the same
Maybe
date.
James Gunn is just a mole.
Now,
They troll DC each and every time they get.
Courtney asked two
It's
questions.
just like, yo, go over there, right? We're gonna pay you double what they paying you, but just write them the shittiest shit ever and completely sink their shit.
Who does Dave Bautista play in the DCEU?
He's gonna play. They're gonna fire this dude.
Turn him to the Croc.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, you turn him to the Croc. But do it CG this
Suicide
time. Man.
Squad. I don't know.
They
who
need to do the Croc CG this time and have him be the Batista.
Yeah, but
have
then
Batista be the.
I mean,
the
you
motion
could
cap
have
and the voice.
Sure, but then you could still have Batista even play somebody else as well, right?
I don't even know.
Add a new member to the Suicide Squad.
I would like him to be Clayface.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, were you? Okay. Yeah, I would like to
I was just about to say it.
I like to
What about Dave Bautista? I'm just throwing this out there. Not that it's probably not applicable, but just the body type. Bane.
Simon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy. That's not.
Solomon Grundy.
Was Solomon Grundy? Was he black or was he?
He was like big and gray.
No. I'm saying, but before that, wasn't he a Southerner? Wasn't he a black Southerner? Like the how he came off in the animated series.
He just came off like a gray looking Hulk dude. He didn't come off like black to me.
I'm trying to remember. I know he was a convict and all of that other stuff, but I don't remember if he was like a black Southerner.
So Killer Croc or Solomon Grundy.
I like Solomon Grundy. I say Clayface.
Clayface. Okay. By the way, Courtney also says, "What if James takes the whole Guardians of the Galaxy cast?"
That's
not
hilarious. That's not happening, right? Because they're all under contract. But that would be hilarious.
And their contracts could be running out.
That would be hilarious.
And then he says, "What if also James Gunn is actually a Skrull?"
I like that.
Okay, so now I don't know if this is gonna work, right? I think that
Him as the Suicide Squad.
yes,
director.
I think I would have more preferred him doing Green Lantern, doing like the Lantern Corps.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I think it could work.
Yeah,
The dialogue will be way better.
I hope so. But like I said,
You got James
Joss
Gunn
Whedon.
writing for Will Smith. Come on, man. It's gonna
does
be
he
great.
keep Will Smith?
Yes.
Is he going to keep the whole? If you keep Will Smith and Harley Quinn,
How do they not keep Will Smith?
Now I'm saying if you
It's
keep,
the Will Smith and Margot Robbie movie. That's what it always was.
but they're saying it may be a reboot.
yeah.
Yeah, they might
The
be
Suicide
going with
Squad is the Suicide
everything is
Squad.
getting a reboot.
You're not getting rid of Will Smith.
Yeah, I mean, but
You got Will Smith under contract. You don't get rid of Will
They're
Smith.
definitely keeping Jared Leto.
They're definitely keeping Margot Robbie, and they're definitely keeping Will Smith. Everybody else should go, but Will Smith, Margot Robbie, and Jared Leto still under contract. So, yeah, for now, until that next Joker movie comes out.
and then Courtney says, "Why can't Dave play Orion? Sorry,
Who?
Orion.
Orion.
Yeah, isn't that like one of the most powerful dudes in DC?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I remember
I'm sure
Orion
can't
from
remember.
JLA, like Justice League America. Number 14, where he kind of reset the universe. I know Orion. Okay, now the next question. Speaking of Disney, the Aladdin trailer just dropped.
Okay. Now I know who Orion is. Dang. Go ahead, Court. That's a good one. Okay, that is a good one.
Orion, Aladdin. What do we think
you
about this
excited?
We
Aladdin
didn't
trailer?
see anything.
They didn't show you shit.
It was
They
a
showed you
teaser.
mad
Thank you.
fake looking gold that looked like it looked no realer than
There was nothing.
the CG in the cartoon.
I'm
There
not
was-
gonna
there was
lie, it
nothing.
didn't. And by the way, you can do a Cave of Wonders in the same way that Peter Jackson did it in The Hobbit when in the Desolation of Smaug. Like
Right.
that, I believe that they were in like a
I believe that nothing they showed you in that teaser, none of that shit is going to be in the actual movie.
really.
Yes.
I don't know if they'd waste that. I mean,
What did they waste? That shit was mad shitty and cheap looking. Like it didn't even look fully rendered.
okay. Let's get to the brass tacks.
They
Is
used
Guy
the-
Ritchie?
Yeah, they used the freaking voice from the original movie for the Cave of Wonders. They just dubbed it from the original movie
Don't get me started on that cave voice.
All they did was show.
Don't get me
I mean,
started
I
on
don't
the
get
voice
how
of
you have a
Cave.
problem with the voice of the cave if that was the
Right.
original voice, but I'm just saying they put no money into this shit. It's just to show you that it's coming.
Right.
So none of that stuff is going to be in the
Yeah,
movie.
but if this is supposed to get you hype about the movie, shouldn't it be representative of what you're gonna get with the movie?
Right.
Basically, if you don't put a lot of effort into your trailer, maybe you didn't put a lot of effort into your movie. And furthermore, is Guy Ritchie the right person to direct an Aladdin movie?
I mean, all you're going to do is try to...
How is it gonna
Anybody could direct an Aladdin movie because all they're going to do is try to recreate shit shot for shot from the original one, just like they did with the Beauty and the Beast movie.
Yeah, but they didn't do that with like Maleficent. What you know what I'm saying?
Maleficent was not a damn movie.
But it
Maleficent
was
was
based on a character
from freaking Sleeping Beauty or whatever.
Okay, but also they did over Snow White completely different. Like that was like an action movie.
What, the Kingsman?
What?
Snow White and the Kingsman? Or
Yeah,
whatever the fuck
yeah. And they had Chris
but that's
Hemsworth
a
in that.
modernizing of the tale, and the title is different. If it's a totally different title, it's whatever. But if you're titling it this,
It's a straight up
it's a
Aladdin.
straight up remake, shot for shot.
Is Aladdin the right person to play the genie? I mean, Aladdin
What?
the right place. Will Smith. It's
That's
late.
what you're talking
Is Will
about.
Smith the right person to play the genie?
Right.
Is he the right person to play the genie? Yes. He has charisma. He has chutzpah.
As
He
long
can
as
get
he's
them
not
jokes off.
trying to be Robin Williams and he does his own thing.
He's definitely, they're going to have new jokes and he's going to definitely ad-lib, just like how Robin Williams ad-libbed. But he's definitely going to sing over those songs that was Robin Williams sung in the original one.
Okay. Does he do a rap song?
Yes.
Oh God.
Okay.
It's going to be a rap verse at the end.
Oh, God.
boy.
It's gonna be mad auto-tune.
Okay. Courtney says they dropped the ball with Snow White, and he feels like there's more story to tell. I just think that Aladdin.
Disney movie?
Yes, I have a sort of a special relationship with Aladdin because it's the first movie that I saw in the
Huntsman.
You
theater.
do hold it dear.
Yes, it's the first
your
movie
heart.
I saw in the movie theater, and it opened my eyes to the wonders of going to the theater.
Right.
I'm sure that's not the first movie you saw in theaters. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's the
it's
first one I
movie you
remember.
seeing.
That's what counts.
Yeah.
If I was at a movie when I was in a stroller, I don't think it counts as me. It
Yeah,
being
just
the
like
first
how you
movie
don't
I saw.
remember the Michael Jackson concert.
That's besides the point. All I'm saying is
Want to
this.
see Michael Jackson, don't even remember that shit. But I digress.
Yes, you do. If
Play
the
that.
job of the trailer is to get me hype, this didn't get me hype.
Right.
I'm not hype about it, and I should be. If
It's a
Beauty and the
teaser
Beast
trailer.
made
It's a
$1
teaser
billion,
trailer.
I'm still finna see. You want
It's
to
a
know
teaser
why?
trailer.
Will
course
Smith
we're
is
gonna
in that
see it.
shit.
It's a teaser trailer.
it's
Will
Aladdin.
Smith,
You
I
have to
support
see
Will
it.
Smith. No, I
It's a
have to
teaser
see it
trailer.
because it's Will Smith. I seen the original Aladdin. I don't
Willie
need to see
style.
it again. I'm sure it's better. Just like I think the original Beauty and the Beast is better than the remake.
It's a teaser trailer.
Yes, it is.
Because that was a modern marvel of what they did with like melding like computer technology and like animation, like hand-drawn animation for when it came out. Like that shit was like beautiful to look at.
I think it won Best Picture.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Like,
to
and it
look
not
at.
Best Animated Picture, like Best Picture.
Yeah.
Or
shit
at
was
least it was
great,
at the
bro.
very least nominated. Now, Courtney
Like
says
back
the
in the
first-
90s, man, like that was like the golden era for Disney with movies. Like they was on a roll, like Aladdin, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. Man, it's like the hits couldn't
Yeah,
stop
and then
coming.
Hercules came out, and it was all downhill from there.
Hercules wasn't that bad. Emperor's
No.
New Groove and all this stuff.
So,
Emperor's New Groove is hilarious.
what do you call? And then Mulan, and they're about to do the live action for that. So the question is, they made
Princess
a
and the
lot of
Frog.
money on Beauty and the Beast, and it was a shot-for-shot remake with one extra scene. Are we hoping that Guy Ritchie and
shot-for-shot.
Disney does something different with Aladdin?
He's
Whereas
gonna-
you get the
well,
essence of the story, but you do because he went wild left with the King Arthur movie he did.
Yeah, but will Disney allow him to go wild left?
We'll see.
With something that's so
Um,
sacred that's supposed to go into their Disney vault?
You think Aladdin's still gonna have that line where he's like, all good teens take off their clothes?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's Guy Ritchie. Courtney said, and don't forget the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's coming.
Yeah.
They should definitely do all them shot for shot remakes, just like with the Lion King. They should do that shit where he falls
Speaking of
down
Lion
in the
King,
sand and then it says sex in the dirt.
Lion King. There was like a little action trailer that came out. That looks like it's gonna be way better than what Aladdin is.
Was that officially released by Disney? Why doesn't the trailer say released by Disney? Did they put that shit out?
No, there's just test footage that people cut together. Disney hasn't officially released anything for it yet.
So
and
did Disney officially release that Aladdin
that
shit?
test footage? Yes, Disney officially released that.
Okay.
That was from Disney's YouTube channel.
Right.
So I'm more excited for Lion King than Aladdin, and I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I enjoyed Aladdin more than I enjoyed Lion King, the original movies. Just putting it out there. Just saying that.
Okay.
Aladdin was more fun. It's like freaking Lion King was sad. That was some sad shit. Mufasa died off the rip.
Yo, what is it with Disney and killing people's parents?
The fathers.
Aladdin didn't even have no parents.
No, Bambi's mother got killed.
Aladdin's parents was already dead before when the shit started. He had no parents. He was homeless. He had to live on his own.
No, I'm just saying all of these Disney movies, the parents just get bodied or
because
they're
dead telling you that they're your parents now.
Freaking what you call it? Jasmine's mom was dead.
You don't need your parents. You can do it on your own.
Jeez, between Disney and
no, it's getting
McDonald's.
you ready for death. You know what I'm saying?
Getting you with them toys.
It's about coming of age, and you gotta
and listening to them.
Disney movies teaches you how to deal with death because it's coming for us all.
The last thing you see before you die is Mickey Mouse.
Man.
Okay, one last thing. So last week, everybody thought like Chris Evans was saying his goodbye because he wrapped shooting on Avengers 4. He was doing a Comic-Con panel or some kind of panel.
Yo, he didn't confirm or deny it. He said even if he was or wasn't, that he would have still said that because it was emotional.
There's the lead up.
Yeah. By the way, people, I just want you to know it's called marketing because now you're going to be wondering, well, what did he mean?
Right.
Yo, he dead, son. He done. He's done. It's the same way when said, like everybody dies. Well, at least half of everybody. Yes, he's done. He's done. He's dead. It's going to hold emotional weight. I'm going to cry.
Unless this was just that covert out in the open contract negotiation. And then Disney was like, "I buy," and then he's like, "Wait, no, that's not what I was saying."
Yeah, come on, man.
You gotta watch out.
Right.
Disney got all them extra characters coming. Anybody could get it, especially if they correctly cast Wolverine.
Right.
Who plays Wolverine?
I don't want to get into that again.
How about Norman Reedus?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope. Yo, what if Rick Means Business Bearded Grimes plays Wolverine?
He's too old.
No, man. No.
He's way too old.
He's Miss Reed Richards.
That's what. Yes,
and he's not buff enough.
All right.
He's Reed
Richards. They need somebody short and ripped. Like, go for it. Like, I want to see somebody squatty or CG him to make him shorter than everybody else.
CG him?
Yes, the same way they made Cap mad short, make him shorter.
I mean, look, if they could make Tom Cruise seem like he's as tall as all of his co-stars, they can make this guy seem shorter.
Man. What shoes is he buying?
Yeah. What do you call it? Courtney says, well, we talked about Little Mermaid. Okay, now...
how about The Rock play freaking Wolverine?
Yeah, Courtney wants us to talk about this Wolverine thing. Okay, so LeVar, you had a good idea, which cannot happen, but John Barthol would be the perfect Wolverine, in my opinion.
He was super
big.
That
was a great, that was a great
That was a good call.
Can't even
Courtney says Tom Hardy is short. If you watch Tom Hardy in Taboo, that's the TV show he had that he produced himself as kind of like a period piece.
Okay.
Tom Hardy could be Wolverine.
Yeah, John Berthel is way better. Like when he goes into them blackout rages.
But look in that movie Warrior.
Just his voice.
Warrior, yes.
You remember the movie Warrior?
Not to mention, it's just like he has a Wolverine ass face.
Wolverine in the face ass dude.
Yeah.
That almost came out a different way.
Yeah. You gonna say
had to catch myself. Okay. Any other takers for Wolverine?
No, I had whack Gerard Butler.
No, he's too old and fat.
Yeah,
and sloppy.
Oh man,
You
yeah.
thinking back
It's like
doing
saying you wore
300
Russell
times?
Crowe for Wolverine.
Just thinking about that
Gladiator
South Park
days and them
episode when
freaking
Russell
300
Crowe was
days
beating
By
is
the
up
way,
everyone.
long
speak.
gone.
This is not Wolverine, but you know who could play Johnny Storm?
Oh.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
he could. And what's my reference point? Do you remember the movie he just did with Russell Crowe, The Nice Guys?
Oh, okay.
That
Seeing
Ryan
him
Gosling
being with
yeah,
that type of energy. Okay.
Yeah. What anybody? Any other takers on a Logan? Who can do this thing?
I can't think of anybody right now.
I mean, if Marvel pull all their shit off Netflix, all their properties, then John Bernthal could do it.
I mean, Alfre Woodard was in the MCU and she played Cottonmouth's sister.
Yeah. Why not?
So it could happen.
Why can't they play two different characters?
Courtney says
One don't have nothing to
keep
do with
Ryan
the
the
other.
F away from the MCU.
You don't want him to do a dance number?
Nah, man. Ryan, remember him in Drive?
Yeah.
Want to fight?
I remember him in The Notebook.
Was that right? Okay. I don't think I've seen that movie. Good on you for seeing that. Shows you have some culture. All right.
Yeah.
Now,
It's a good movie.
next
You might
topic.
cry.
We're almost done here, folks. Don't worry. We're getting long in the tooth. We got long in the tooth.
Stupid long, bro.
Hulu
Jesus Christ.
commissions a 10-episode scripted drama based on the Wu Tang Clan and their formation.
Ooh.
I think this could be like The Wire if done right.
Yo, man.
If they really depict New York in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, it's gonna be the 90s, yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, if maybe they start early, show some
I
of
want
his
to see
kids how you get
cameos
to the
from
90s.
Jay-Z
You know what I
and
mean?
P. Diddy and freaking Biggie Smalls and all that shit. Whatever was going on in New York, Mobb Deep. I want to see all of these cameos from them because I know they got stories with all these people.
Just wonder how stylized this thing is gonna be.
And by the way, this is based on the 2 books
That
written
RZA
by
wrote.
the RZA,
Right.
and he's the executive producer on it.
Yeah, and
So
he's,
I don't think
he's talking with the.
Not saying it's gonna be good, but I don't think he's gonna let them like not tell the story the right way.
how it should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you
At
see
least the facts
I
that
just
he
heard
wants
him
us
talk.
to know.
I just remember him with that press release. He was just mentioning of how
What
we've
was
been
that movie he
entertaining
had
people
called
for a
The Man
long
with the
time.
Iron,
He kept
whatever
saying
the hell?
entertaining. I'm like, come on.
What was that movies that RZA directed called? The Man with the Iron, whatever the hell.
I know he did it with Russell Crowe because that's his
The Man
boy.
with the Iron Fist or some shit like that.
No, it wasn't that. I know what you're talking about. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's the Man with the Iron Fist.
Oh, okay. There you go. Iron
Yeah.
Fist.
Shit was
Shout out
trash.
to Ghost Dog.
Mm.
That shit was super trash.
No, but I think
Brick Mansions.
the facts that he wants to be in there will be in there.
Right.
Not saying he won't retell history.
Right.
You
But
think everybody doesn't?
no, that's what I'm saying. That's
Everything
fine.
is, dramatized.
But that's fine. I'm just saying it's not like written by people who think they know what's going on, but just because they read some news articles
I
about
hope
back
it's
then.
good, man.
You know what I
Because
mean?
I've been seeing some good, TV, docu series or whatever you call them. Like when they retell, like the New Edition one was good. The Bobby Brown one was good.
Did everybody ever watch the American Crime Story from the people who did the OJ show? They did
TLC
one about
one was good.
They did one about the Tupac and Biggie murder investigations.
It just made me nauseous.
You tried to watch it?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen a single episode. Why? What was whack about it?
everything.
Everything? Okay, it just wasn't good.
For me, I couldn't take it. It was
Now, is it because
again that was stylizing, what was going on, and it seemed more fake than
But
real.
you like the OJ show?
From that was on
It's from the same people that made it.
you talking about on FX?
Yeah.
I tolerated the OJ show more.
Now let me
I
ask.
mean the OJ Simpson.
let me ask both
I
of you a
need to
question
watch
about that.
'cause I saw it in real life.
But the
That's the
one done
point that I wanted to
by
ask.
ESPN, that one
The documentary.
is phenomenal.
People keep telling me I need
That is hands down phenomenal work.
Okay, I have to check that out. I think it's on Netflix by now. Maybe it is, maybe it
Maybe.
isn't. But the question I wanted to ask you is, do we have a different relationship with the OJ case and hysteria around it than we do with the Biggie and Tupac stuff? Because we lived in the middle
Made
of
in
that.
America.
right? We lived in the middle of the Tupac and Biggie thing because we grew up in New York in the 90s versus the OJ thing. We watched it through the news and we were younger at that time, maybe not paying attention to politics at that age.
That was
the politics
that
of
seemed
it.
like very much around the same time to me. It's all
I
90s.
just feel like I was more invested in the hip hop culture than I was what was going on with OJ.
What was the OJ case?
OJ case was like junior high school for me, and then high school was Tupac and Biggie's rise.
To me, that's all the same shit, bro. Because I'm 3 years older than you. It's all the
Maybe.
same. It's all the same to me.
Right.
But I'm just saying I wasn't paying attention to.
Well,
I just knew
you personally wasn't invested into the politics and what those things meant.
Right. I just knew. Oh, OJ's the guy from the Naked Gun movies. No, that's how I knew OJ. Mm-hmm. Right at the time.
For me, it was different, but yeah.
But the Tupac and Biggie thing, like every
movie
that they try to make about it, I'm like, yeah, that's not how it was.
But when the OJ thing happened, it's like black people want something. It's just like we know he might be guilty, but because black people get bust upside their head, black people be getting, shot down and mistreated all the time because he got off good. Y'all get off all the time too.
But is that...
We got one. So black people will celebrate like, yeah, motherfucker, it burned, don't it?
That was the energy that came off of it. But
at the time, that's what it was.
But how is that sad, or how sad is that because there are so many injustices that went on in the black community that we would pray that still go on.
I don't know that OJ did that shit, but if he did,
OJ did that shit. But that we would look at something like that as a win. Like, what does it say about the way people like us were treated at that time and still are?
Desperate hoes.
Because it's the
like,
whole thing is just like bizarre.
It's the reality of America, man.
Yeah.
Chickens coming home to roost.
And because this is not what we're going to talk about. But yeah, because we're
turned into this.
But look,
but it's one of those shows.
Plain and simple.
Niggas is tired.
After OJ had got off on that, right? It was the system in itself seemed to, or at least the energy of it, was so angry, was so mad at the public, at the people, of saying how could they not see what he did? That you get him for stealing memorabilia and you throw him.
Catch-22. How they gonna lock you up for stealing your own shit?
Okay,
that's my shit.
But
it's not your shit.
I don't want this to be the OJ show, but he also wrote a book called "If I Did Do It."
So
this is how it would have went.
So
I'm just saying he was poking the bear.
They found him liable and then sued him, and he had to give up how much money. So it's just like, y'all, if y'all gonna pay me to write this book, shit, I gotta get some money some type of way. I got a lifestyle to uphold, man. I ain't getting no more acting roles. Ain't nobody hiring me for no endorsements. All my shit is cut off. I need money, so I'm gonna do stupid shit. And then y'all want to take my memorabilia that I ain't give y'all. All I got is my trophies now. I ain't even got my money. So I'm gonna write this book. Y'all think I did it anyway, so here.
I mean, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
OJ's innocent, bro.
Last. Okay. OJ did that shit. Last story of the day. Before we.
Yeah, my blackness will not allow me to admit.
But you gotta think bigger than that, man.
That was your enough is enough.
Come on. Okay. Last 50 Cent Jackson signs a deal with Starz. It's basically a first look deal that could be worth up to $150 million. Now 50 Cent is executive producer on the show Power for Starz.
No one man should have all that.
And now the deal is such that if he has any new ideas, that he shows it to them first, and they get first option to create a show.
Make that into a new show.
But theoretically, the deal could be worth up to $150 million.
Shout out to 50, man.
Still doing it.
50 still winning. Ja Rule, you lost.
I don't really know what he does on Power.
Where's Ja?
Because I mean, like,
producer.
I know, but he didn't like create it or write it. He signed on to it, but I guess look, him attaching his name is everything.
50 is a brand.
You could have 100% of nothing or 50% of everything.
Right.
So
50 co-endorsed vitamin water, 50 co-endorsed, vodka, endorsed.
the same thing with
Leche
Diddy
Midori,
and what do you call it?
What, Ciroc?
Yeah.
You got an idea. You don't got no money to fund that shit. I'll put up some money to fund that shit, add my name to that shit.
Or I don't
and
put
then-
up any money, but I
Yeah.
add my name because I
That's
got I'll bring you the eyeballs.
It's like with music. It's just they're like, okay, you're a nobody producer. You're DJ Scratch and Sniff, right? But I'm, let's say,
Why are you
DJ
putting out my rap name out there, man? Come on.
Let's say I'm DJ Premier or I'm Timbaland. You're nobody, so nobody's gonna buy that beat from you for top dollar. But if you do it for me, if I put my name attached to that shit, now I can sell it for millions.
You see?
You see?
To quote Flex. Okay. Courtney says Ghost Dog was his shit. He also says, but he doesn't get the money from that. It goes to the families. And Courtney says branding is how Trump maintained his lifestyle. All true.
Facts.
All right, moving on to
So
what
wrap it
would
up,
you
B?
do, the last portion of the show, which we're going to do. And we did a review for Venom last week. Now we're going to review something you can watch right now on Netflix. And by we, I mean me. Apostle on Netflix from Gareth Edwards, the director of The Raid and The Raid Redemption.
Right.
He says he's done basically instead of directing the Raid remake, he said he just wants to work on Netflix because you know what? He can do whatever he wants, right? Instead of being like locked down to any whatever any Hollywood studio says.
The Suits.
Right. So Netflix gave him the freedom to make this movie that he wanted to tell. And I'm going to tell you right now, Netflix is not known. They're known for good TV shows, but not known for good movies. This is a damn good movie.
Okay.
That being said, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say on the critique side of things, I think it doesn't really know what kind of movie it wants to be, whether it is an action movie, a horror movie, or a suspense and a period drama, right? It is all those things wrapped into one, and I don't know how well they executed that, but every part of it works individually, but I don't know if it works as a whole. Like, all the scary stuff is, like, intriguing and scary. The fight scenes are crazy, like, reminiscent of The Raid, but without kung fu, just, like, that kind of brutal. You saw the trailer for this thing, right? I showed it to you in the car.
Yeah, I don't like scary movies.
Yeah, so it is like viscerally disgusting.
Where they ripping people apart,
ripping people's brains out with like this is in the trailer. I'm not spoiling anything, but they pull like a drill into somebody's head and they show it.
It's like preachers doing this shit.
Yeah.
The church is responsible for some horrible shit, huh?
But
don't mess up their money.
You should also just watch the movie because it's kind of not. You can't really blame the church on this one.
For doing sick shit like that.
You're not gonna watch the movie, but watch the movie. Courtney, you'll understand. It is in 4K HDR, or at the very least, it's in HDR.
Crusades.
Yes. So basically, this is like a cult that has separated.
Religion is a cult.
I know, but I'm saying this is a cult that has separated from
Disney.
the church.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is sort of how they operate and they do what they do. But there is a supernatural element. There is a mystery element. And when you first watch it, you think it's going to be like, oh, this is going to be like...
the devil made them do it?
Sort of. But Martin Scorsese did a movie in Japan. Can't remember the name of it right now. But when you watch this trailer, you think, oh, it's going to be like that, but good. So anyways, I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's great, and it is a big surprise if you just turn this on for like a Netflix and chill night. You may end up not chilling until the movie's done.
Okay,
that's how good it is. If you catch my drift,
I
think you guys know what I mean.
Your butthole will be clenched for the whole 2 hours.
Yes,
I'll watch it and see what we got.
No,
I won't.
Now, and it's also beautifully shot, starring Dan Stevens, and Michael Sheen. So, good movie, great action, suspenseful drama, and scary horror.
Okay.
Also some mystery in there.
Horror.
All right, that is it, folks. That's my recommendation for this week. We will review or recommend another movie next week. I want to do that every week, recommend a movie or a TV show to watch.
All right.
And any of you guys can jump in if you have any other recommendations. Doesn't always have to be me. But that's what I saw this week that I wanted to bring attention to. What I'm watching next week is the Hill House Haunting.
So you're sticking with the horror genre?
Hey, man,
But,
it's
I mean, that's
October.
new.
It's
yeah,
October.
it's October, I guess.
All right.
Sure.
Well, fun fact.
Oh,
right?
there we go. It didn't happen.
The show's all out of...
Humans,
right, are the only primates who cannot breathe and eat at the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
Don't. Well,
No.
you can, but you won't
It'll
be
go down the
successful.
wrong pipe.
Okay.
There you know.
All right, folks. Mr. Johnson, tell them where they can find you, sir, so we can get the hell out of here.
The doodle bites. Couple of periods in between to see it then.
Bam.
All right.
Just like that.
That was quick. Nice to the point. Mr. Woods, where can they find you, good sir?
Why Woods, Why Not on most social media platforms or whywoodswhynot.com.
Bam. And you can find me on your favorite social media network, as long as it's not Snapchat, at Steve A.M. Johnson. You can also find me tomorrow on The Second Page, our politics show.
I thought this was a politics show.
It kind of turned into that.
Like, holy
Don't worry,
shit.
I'll make sure I talk about movies tomorrow on The Second Page.
Switch it up.
And on Sundays, you can find us on our weekly Walking Dead review show, where we keep you up to date on when Rick is going to get killed and when we stop watching the show.
Yeah.
So there's that. And that's it, folks. Hugs,
Reach
not
up,
drugs.
touch that space pussy.
Okay. Yeah.
Space Force.
Good night.